Hello, I'm Saeri Wild, and today I'm talking with Yaya, who is offering in my upcoming program, which is a New Year Ascension. It's called Becoming the Gift You Are. She is one of my support team. I'm calling them the Dream Team, and she is going to be writing everybody an intuitive story. It's an allegorical initiation story, rather to recognize each person's transformation in the program. And so today we're going to be talking about what she does, and she also does this. You can hire her to write a story for you or for a loved one. So this is a really cool and special opportunity to get to hear more about what she does and how she does it. Or I don't know if you'll find out how she does it. Nobody really knows. But to get a sense of it. And she's going to be reading the story that she wrote for me, and we're going to be talking about that too. So welcome, Yaya.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything about who you are, what you do, or anything at all?
Um, well, my name is Yaya. I'm from the islands of Kos in Greece. Yeah, I write. A hypnotherapist, and I write stories for people, fairy tales. It's just, yeah.
Cool. It's so unique. I mean, fairy tales, like, I love fairy tales, by the way. Like, it's been, as a kid and beyond, it's been one of my favorite things. And they've all kind of been done. I mean, there are kids' books and such, and I know people are writing new ones, but I really like your approach in that it's this. You're very much like reading the energy. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it's just how deep the symbols of the stories go. And when you're writing for someone, um, like she just wrote my story for me, and I didn't. It was a surprise, um, but it has like so much meaning for me in a really unexpected way. And so, speaking of unexpected, Ye and I both have in our human design charts. For one thing, we're both projectors, and which, if you're not familiar with that term, it's we have an aura that penetrates the aura of the other, and we can see very deeply into other people. Actually, seeing is kind of our superpower, and we don't have much else. um, but we also share this channel of it's called the channel of initiation. It's also called the channel of the priestess or the shaman, and it's 2551 are the gate numbers. And so that's very much at play for not only this program, for the space I'm holding for the people coming into it, but also I feel really strongly that Yea's stories are a unique expression of that channel. Would you like to say anything about initiation or 2551?
Well, what came to me when you said that was, well, genuinely when I write, I found, because I started out with hypnotherapy, I started out as a therapist, and it didn't quite, I found that through, what happened was one day I just basically, I met this person, and I just had this feeling that I'm supposed to write something for this person. And it ended up being a children's story, like a fairy tale. So, and it really just clicked. Like, it was a message for this person. Like, that's what I got, that this person needs this message. And that's when I started doing it. And I found that's my way. That's my unique way of seeing through the person, like really recognize them, seeing who they are. Like, and I don't even know how I do it, how it works. And I just right, whatever comes. There's no minds involved. There's no, you know, and that's why I love when I don't know anything about the person, like really nothing about the person. Because I love to see the result, and I love to see the shock in other people. That's the channel, right? People always shock, like, well, how'd you know that? And like, wow, you know, and I never know what's going to come. And I really can see really, really deeply. And I don't even, a lot of times I don't try to analyze it and come to a conclusion of what I'm seeing. I don't put my mind in it at all. I allow the person to take what they feel, you know, it means, because only they really know, because it's them, really, truly. But I just love it. It's just who I am, right? So it is my unique way. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
well,
my
you're
way
magic.
of, and that's my way. Yeah, and that's my way of, yeah, initiating people into stepping into who they are, and to a different state of being.
Would you talk about initiation, like how that works, as because being a projector, we're not designed to initiate in general, and yet we both carry this channel that's very powerful in initiation. So what is that? What is the distinction for you?
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
You just explained it before we got on here really well, but and we could, if you don't want to answer it now, we can move on.
Well, I'm not quite sure what the question is, but when I mean, I'm invited, right, by asking them by them asking me to write them a story, or a lot of times I'll just get the feeling I'm being invited. I know I always ask before whether I'm being invited. It's an intuitive thing, so it will come to me to write for a specific person, and then I'll ask them, you know, would you like to receive this story? And, you know, I'll get a yes, or, you know, mom always get, usually I've never gotten a no, and then there you go. But is that what you're asking in terms of that?
Yeah. Well, there's also just the element that it does happen around you and around me when people come in contact with us. And so what's interesting about your stories is that is the intentional use of it through, you know, your strategy and authority, like you're saying, of like you get the intuitive hit. Yaya's splenic, and asking permission is you know, a good way to be invited. You know, to like let someone know, hey, I might have something for you. Do you want it? In this case, you know, if someone were to come to Yaya and want a story written, then that would be a recognition and invitation. So that would work. But there's also that element of like, well, you live it daily, right? Going through initiations. And then also people tend to go through initiations just being, you know, in design we say a lot of times in the aura, but I find just even reading something by you, talking to you, maybe even thinking about you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, yeah, taking out the stories part, that channel, just generally, just by being in the other person's presence, I find you don't even try. You don't, it's not like you're trying to initiate them, you're trying to do anything. It just naturally initiates people. So, yeah, and yeah, it's just automatic. It's just, I mean, I've gotten that, you know, it's like just being people's presence. People always tell me that, you know, that, oh, you know, you changed my life, you transformed me, you know, you had such an effect on me. And I'm like, well, I didn't do anything. I'm just being myself, you know, doing my thing, but yet it just has that powerful, you know, effect on people. It's quite amazing. Actually, what I've been doing the last 2 years is I have like a little booklet, and I have people, because I'm always moving around and always, you know, and I have people write in it something at the end. And that's where I've really seen the effect of this channel that it has on people, because it's just, yeah, it's so transformative. So, you know, really? I'm still like, huh? It's also unconscious for me, I think, part of it, right? So half of it, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you have an innocence motivation too, so.
Yeah. So.
Well, I want to get moving on to reading the story, but first I want to say, well, I was talking to Nizarg, who, you know, Ye and I also interview people for this project, Experiments in Recognition, which I actually might post this on that page. But Nizarg was telling me about the 2551, that it's to go beyond the known. And so it's got shock on one side and innocence on the other. Shock is from the ego or the willpower, and then the innocence is the self. It's the identity, the G center. So 2551, it moves people beyond the known. And we're constantly going beyond the known in our own lives. It can be rather rigorous at times, like right now. But I had a punchline to that. My pregnancy brain is really keeping it interesting these days. And I have a defined head anagna. Well, it'll come back around.
This is an amazing channel. It's an amazing channel to live with.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oh, I got it. So, because before we started the recording, we were talking about what strong medicine it is. And yet it's just there. Like, we're like walking around, like being really strong medicine and getting really strong medicine all the time, having this channel. So what's so special about, if you feel resonance with Yaya about her stories, to invite her to write one for you or write one for someone you love, whether it's, you know, directly through her, or if you're feeling called to, you know, perhaps join us in co-creating this program, is that to be conscious of asking for that strong infusion of medicine, because it's the most graceful way to do it is to be aware of it and to invite it. And Ye and I know so well, like, what a shit show it can be when you're not aware of an initiation going on. And a lot of times, you know, you can get really caught up in resistance and fear, and I don't know if you want to throw any other adjectives in there. Terror.
Yeah. Major fear. Defense, I would say. Yeah.
Defense, that's a good one, because there can be this impression that it's coming from the outside. And it's actually, like, if you are feeling like some kind of surge, even just listening to this video, because we've like got a double 2551 going on here, we're not doing it to you. It's just activating something in you that is rising and calling you to go beyond the known. So, you know, if you do feel any of those you know, sensations, or have any thoughts that you might judge as being negative, to just, I would say, take a deep breath and know that there's like some, it's really you just wanting to come out and come through and go beyond the known and become a fuller version of yourself. That's what initiation is. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. Another good word is resistance, did we say?
Yeah, resistance is a good word.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a descriptive word. I've been recently thinking about that it's like, what is resistance? I'm going to do a video about this soon if I have the energy, but it's like, the way it looks to me right now is resistance is when we're like packing ourselves into too small of a container for who we really are. And so it's like we have that discomfort, but so whatever is calling us to expand, we sometimes confuse that with what is making us feel uncomfortable. And it's actually the constriction of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and it's all about the right timing. If, you know, it's not the right time, you know, people are not ready, they have that resistance. Yeah. But if it is the right time, it's like the most empowering, beautiful, amazing, transformative experience ever.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, we can, you know, Tati and I were talking about this on another video, that like a lot of times when you're asking for the change, and we're asking for that initiation, and it shows up and we get really excited at first. Oh my gosh, this is it. And then start to feel like, whoa, this is really gonna really actually change everything, and things that are beyond what I know and what I can control. And so you know, we can back off of what we've been asking for, and then we just kind of hover in that place of resistance, like, oh, I want it but I can't have it for whatever reason. So it definitely takes some courage. It is a fire to walk through that resistance, or that illusion that there is something resisting you.
Yeah. Well, that's really good though, that you have the, is it Tatiana? Oh, to clear all that energy and the blocks and the thoughts, you know, that I think that works really well for that.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Yeah, to become aware of what it is. And she has a way of just putting it into like the most like she doesn't have, I think she has a completely open ego, if I recall correctly, but it does kind of surprise me. And maybe that's just because I'm designed to be surprised, but she surprises me all the time with just like how obvious it is, like how silly it is, whatever the belief is. Like when she just says, so would you like to let that go? Yeah. Is it really that simple? Yeah, it is. And then we have a good laugh about it. All right, love. Well, would you like to read the story that you wrote for me?
Sure. Okay.
Oh, this is such a treat for me. Thank you.
Okay, so the name is Αποτελεσματική, the heron. There was a swirl of black about the sky. It swirled and swirled, moving in no particular direction, sometimes left, sometimes right, up and down. In the middle, there was some white. Suddenly, out of it emerges the shape of a dragon, swirling, until it bursts into black and white sparkles. The sparkles slowly, slowly drifted down to the earth, onto the green grass. A heron was there. Although an unusual sight, the heron remained its natural, calm self, barely even acknowledging the sparkles. The sparkles motivated the heron to walk. Due to her tall features, half her body was above the grass, so she could see all around. Many creatures could not do so, as they remained beneath the grasses, unaware of the vast world above. The heron's name was Αποτελεσματική. Αποτελεσματική had a very strong spirit, like a warrior. She was never afraid to voice her opinion, which made her have an honest and real quality to her. Αποτελεσματική was great at guiding and leading others as well. She was especially good at leading the green turtles of the pond. Often she would meet, I'll pop up here.
Would you speak up just a little bit, sweetheart?
Yeah. Often she would meet them at the pond. They would gather around in piles. Αποτελεσματική would stand in front of them and tell them stories. Mainly, she would teach them how to not be afraid and spend more of their time outside of the shell. She was especially helpful when they fell upside down. She would guide them how to get back up. Αποτελεσματική taught the turtles in a playful manner. They had a special game they played where the turtles would be jumping in and out of the water. Αποτελεσματική knew that even though she was serious about her position and that structure was needed, that it could also be fun. Αποτελεσματική would just watch and direct. One day, as they were playing and learning, αποτελεσματική noticed one turtle on the side, just sitting and watching, not engaging and jumping in the water with the others. Αποτελεσματική walked up to him. The turtle was half brown and green. Not going to jump in the water? Asked αποτελεσματική. No, I'd rather watch, answered the turtle as he looked ahead. Said αποτελεσματική. The brown and green turtle was very serious and continued looking straight ahead. You know you are a turtle and meant to be in the water, right? Said αποτελεσματική. I don't care, responded the turtle. Αποτελεσματική sat down next to him silent, watching the other turtles bouncing back and forth into the water. I don't really get along with the other turtles, he said, and it's much more calm out here. Αποτελεσματική remained silent, still looking ahead. She then got up. Well, I'm going to go try out the water. She entered the pond and laid on her back, floating. She looked so relaxed that the turtle became a little envious. Would you like to come and sit on my belly? Asked αποτελεσματική. Sure, responded the turtle. The turtle walked over and climbed onto αποτελεσματικí's stomach. He was a little timid. Αποτελεσματική made a very, very slow, gentle spins in the water. The turtle began to feel very safe and relaxed now, too. They did this for hours, very gracefully floating among the calm water. I'm going to try it myself, said the turtle. Αποτελεσματική just nodded her head calmly. The turtle slowly slid down off of αποτελεσματικí's belly, and with his belly facing up towards the sky and his back up against the water, began to float. This is even better, exclaimed the turtle. Αποτελεσματική nodded again. The turtle could now determine the direction of his flow in the pond. He could feel the power of his body. It was very empowering. Αποτελεσματική got out of the water and watched the turtle enjoy his journey as she returned back to the grasses. Αποτελεσματική means effectual. So I was a little bit low at first. I just kind of get into it. I was like, oh.
I know you get your fairy tale voice on. Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anything stand out to you having read that again just now?
I just felt, actually what stood out, what I didn't realize before, was the belly, and you're pregnant. That I didn't, quite pick up on before, actually.
Yeah, that didn't occur to me either.
Yeah.
So Gaia mentioned, you might have missed it in the beginning, that she's Greek. That's a Greek name, I presume.
Αποτελεσματική, yeah, that's what it means, effectual. Yeah. I always usually get I write the story and then I ask to what word I feel describes the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it in Greek, right? So then I always, usually it's sometimes it takes a different form. I never know, but usually that's kind of how it goes. And then I put the Greek name and
Mm-hmm.
explain what it means at the end.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, so one of the things that came through and for me to recognize to Gaia recently is that she's a modern day Greek mythologist. I love it. And she really is. She just is. So yeah, there's well, would you like to hear what I don't know what stands out for me when I hear it.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, we haven't actually discussed it, so
Yeah,
yeah.
we have it. This is kind of fun.
No.
It's an
Okay.
experiment. Um, well, what stood out to me right away, like the first time I read it, was like I had a lot of manifestors coming in. Actually, I was connecting with a lot of manifestors at the time, and well, I guess I still am. And for those of you not familiar with human design, manifestors have a very dense aura, and they're designed for impact, and they actually are designed for initiation. Um, and they're not really I mean, I don't know if this is the right way to say it exactly, but they're just, well, they're definitely not meant to be told what to do, but nobody really is. um, but they have a very kind of lone wolf way, and yet they still may want some support. Yeah. So it's quite an honor to have manifestors coming to me and be able to support them. And they can be you do have to be very 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 respectful, as I think we really should with anyone. But so I definitely saw that struck me about the turtles, and also that the shell, and that I also have a lot of hermits. A lot of hermits come to me, but the shell, being that they have those dense auras that are kind of repelling, and so you can't really get in there to them, so there can be like a loneliness to being inside that shell. But then I also, when the part with the inviting the turtle to, well, I saw both manifestor and generator there, when the heron went into the water, because first the heron informed the turtle what it was doing. And then it asked if it wanted to come and join. So, which is, the strategy with manifestors is to inform, for them to inform and also to be informed. And the best way for generators is to ask them, so they can respond, because they're designed to respond. So I thought that was cool. I love all these little details, like we, Yaya had read a story to us that she didn't even write specifically for the Desire and Innocence video that we did, but it was just so laden with meaning for that. Yeah, in a very innocent way. She's just like, oh yeah, I did that. And so there's lots of room, to read into your own story. And then I just love the beginning, and I kind of forget it by the end, in a way, about the dragon and the sparkles. Um, I actually love how it's not at all like explained or elaborated on. That something about that feels like, yeah, like a deep recognition for me. I really appreciate that, because the rest is like pretty practical and centered, and and then, yeah, as I was sharing with you before we started the recording, that what recently struck me when I read the story was this projection of poise, or image of poise about the heron. And I do see that in myself, and I know I can come off that way, but it still was a little bit, I don't know, surprising, that the way that just kind of evenness came across. So anyway, those are my thoughts for now. You were saying some really beautiful things about herons before we got on. Would you like to share that, or anything at all?
Well, I had a few things come to me, but so since you asked me that, I was just saying that I've been watching herons, and last year I was just saying one day I just felt like they're the perfect example of a projector, because they're just there, they're just waiting. They're calm, you know, they're very self-assured. They kind of like know who they are. They're just, you know, they're not worried, not stressed. They're not moving, right? They're not generators. And they're just sitting there and they're waiting. And then you'll just see them, you know, whoop, and they get the fish, you know? And that came to me when I was in Washington, and I was at a lake, and it was a bright sunny day, and you know, like people were out, you know, and there were boats out, and there was music, and they were, you know, yelling, and you know, and other people were, you know, jet skiing, and there was just all this craziness and all this noise, doing, and then there was this her, and it was just there, and I was just standing completely, you know, not bothered, you know, just very centered, just calm, you know, living itself, just waiting, doesn't do anything. It was on the dock, you know, and that's when but that's what I was saying to you before.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and how they're just standing there, and then all of a sudden they're like, shoot, get a fish.
Yeah. And I've noticed it, you know, the first time I noticed them was in Vancouver, you know, and I would walk, and it's like all these people, you know, and they're just doing, and then there's the heron in the water, and it's just not affected, you know, it's just waiting. It's just standing there.
Yeah.
You know, not doing anything. And yeah. So.
Well, I feel quite honored for that to be the perception of me. I don't always feel like I'm being a good projector, but you know, it's a work in progress.
And I mean, I always put like the animals that come to me. I always put the symbolism at the end of the story. That's very important. Mm-hmm. I find like that's a big part of unraveling the whole symbolism. And from the feedback I've gotten, like there's so many small little details in the story. It's like all important. Even sometimes I feel write in, you know, type it in a specific color, and they're like, oh, you know, that color meant this, you know, and you know, it's just all these. You never know. There's just all these things that. I actually have a cool recent story if you'd like me to share with someone.
An example?
Yeah, not to actually read you the story, but just an example.
Yeah, and I, you know, actually wanted to ask you, I think it's the same thing that I was going to ask you about, because you recently had like a really synchronistic story. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I've gotten a few, but probably the same one I told you, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I was writing the story, I couldn't sleep. And so I figured, okay, it was about 3:30 in the morning. So I figured, okay, I was going to write the story for this person the next day, but I really felt, okay, you know, I felt to write at that moment. So, well, since I'm not sleeping, you know.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, very, very much 2551. It wakes me up all the time. And I'm like, can I do it tomorrow? It's like, no, right now.
Yeah. Like,
the portal is open. It's time for you to go to work. Okay, go on.
Okay, so, you know, and I see it as a visual, you know, it just comes to me as a visual generally. So I started seeing the African savanna. I'm like, okay, you know, and I saw a giraffe, but I felt, no, this person's not a giraffe. Then I saw legs of a zebra. I'm like, no, it's not a zebra though. And then I'm like, it kind of looks like a deer. And I'm like, no, it's not a deer. And, you know, so then my mind started coming and I started doubting myself. I'm like, okay, you're tired. You know, maybe you shouldn't do this now. You know, you know, what is it? You're not sure. Is it a giraffe? Is it a zebra? You know, is it an antelope? But so I went into self-doubt, and then I figured, okay, you know what? Forget it. It's okay. I don't have to know. It's something like a deer. And I just continue writing this story. So, but I just kept getting, you know, it's like the giraffe, but a zebra, but you know. So the next day I went online and I typed in, you know, animals. I forgot what I typed in, but I put like African savanna animals. So there's this animal. It's called I actually don't even know. Okapi, I think.
I'm trying to
copy.
find it because you'd sent me a picture, but you and I chat so much that it's like super buried.
If
But
you look online, I think OKAPI.
O OKAPI.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is such a trip. Oh my gosh.
So look, and I found this animal means it's in a copy, and it's in the giraffe family. It has its legs have like zebra print, and it looks kind of like a deer, like an antelope.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up
So
a
yeah,
picture of it here. Okay, screen share. Yeah, that's pretty uncanny, huh? Like
yeah. I was like, so I was like, okay, I'm not crazy.
it reminds me of when I was in psychic school, and the first time that I just got thrown in with this group of people, and they were like, yeah, do a reading on this person, and I was like, what? And and I just they guided me to just say whatever I saw, and I remember what I had seen was like someone jumping over a candlestick, and I don't remember what I don't remember exactly what the significance was for the person, but they were like, "Oh my God," that was like that meant so much to them, and to me, I was like, my mind was like, "That's just random and crazy."
Yeah.
So in the context of that, Ye and I are working together in this program, and the people who are going to be in it are all birthing something, which is who they are, going beyond what they've known they are, what they could sense that they are, and discovering their gifts to become the gift that they are. And, a lot of times it comes through like this, and it's like your mind will go, that's insane. And so it can be so helpful to have, people holding you, to just validate that you're not crazy, and to get witness, but also I find that's the beauty of these stories. Yeah, is like it's a recognition for that kind of thing. And anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and the person told me after that. And that story was. I picked up on an experience that this person had, and like I was just going through the whole thing, and I didn't know. But the person told me after that in the past, when she kind of started stepping into who she was, like the person, there was this person, and he said to her, I don't know, he said something about her journey, and he said to her, "You're a giraffe," and then he said, "No, you're not a giraffe. You're a horse." He says, "No, not a horse." And then she had someone else at another time in her life too, who were just like, she's a giraffe, but she's not a giraffe. So, so it finally kind of became, known to her. Like, oh,
You
okay.
really just can't even make that up.
No, and it's happened to me before. I have had animals come to me that I don't even know what they are, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I look it up, and I'm like, okay.
Huh. Yeah, so about my story, it's such a lovely recognition for me because, I have like now that I'm a guide and I'm a coach, and I help people get off their backs,
Mm-hmm.
like the turtles, or overcome their fears to get into their element. Um, but it wasn't until relatively recently that I stepped this much into being who I am. And for years and years, is like I knew I could help people with that, but I wasn't recognized, and I wasn't recognizing myself for it either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that can be that's the power of recognition, which that's what projectors have instead of energy to do things. Is just
Yeah.
recognition to bestow this gift of just like the mirror. in a way that is so beautiful and gentle in the case of how you work. And I also like just how actually kind of impersonal it is. Like, you're like, I don't know why. And then, after the fact, you could come up with some like understanding about it. But when it comes through, it's just like, okay, here we go, giraffe zebra.
Well, I think it's my motivation of innocence, right? The no motive thing,
Yeah.
If I like have to put a thing like, oh, I want to help them, or that it's a motive, and like, yeah, so it's like, I don't define it. I just allow it. It's just all about not using my mind, basically. I don't know. I just be what it is.
So I was just reminded of this, and I can't believe I haven't thought of this in terms of what you do. But so my dream teacher, Robert Moss, he's a shaman. He's amazing. He writes incredible books. And does amazing workshops where you travel back into dreams and change, the course of things to heal. That his definition of a shaman is to heal by telling better stories. And this channel, shamans deal in the currency of initiation, basically, and that's also another one of the names. I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier, but channel of the shaman.
Yeah.
I don't know, I want to ask you something about that. Like, how's your battery doing, by the way?
I don't know, actually. I can't check.
So we may abruptly just end this if her battery goes out.
No, it should be okay.
What have you seen as far as like the healing power of telling better stories?
It's just empowering, transforming. That's what I do with my books as well, with my fairy tales. They are an initiation, and it kind of follows a journey into people discovering who they are. I don't know. It's just,
what's the value of discovering who you are?
Everything.
Like, why? Why should it matter? Because the conditioning tells us that it's all these other things that are gonna like make us money or find us love or even just like have us survive.
Well, I don't think that happens unless you know who you are. I feel, it's the most beautiful gift ever. It's the most beautiful thing ever. Like, we're all who we are is so unique and so beautiful. That's our gift. That's what we're here for. That's what we have to offer the world and on ourselves. And it's just everything. So it just feels, that's the first step for like everything. That's the most important thing, feeling, and discovering who you are is the most beautiful thing. Yeah, it's just everything.
Is it always beautiful discovering who you are?
I think it is. Okay, you see, like, I think discovering who you are is also, okay, part of that is also discovering, the not self aspect, but that's not really who you are, right? No, it's not all beautiful. It's difficult and quite difficult sometimes, and but it's the most rewarding experience you'll ever have. It's most definitely not easy. It's not easy, but it's still beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's my experience. It's treacherous. It's, you have to go through so much, and this and that, because we're so conditioned to this so much, and we're so ingrained, but that journey of slowly discovering what is really you is just, it's just extremely empowering and beautiful. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny because, I hear that a lot, like, well, it's not easy, or, and nothing is.
No,
I mean, you can be in ease. You can be in ease and be in an intense situation. It's really where you're coming from. But I find for me, there's just no choice. I have to become myself. And maybe that's the 25-51. It's like always, always pushing me. And when I have resisted that, man, it's easy is the last word I would use. To be not me is so hard. And yet the mind can have this perception that that's easier just because it's known.
Yeah, no, I find and that's exactly how I feel. It's like, I don't feel life allows me not to be myself. It's like I'm constantly being pushed into who I am. And it's that the pain and the suffering comes from like the resistance. Or lack of awareness. It's not always resistance, it's just lack of awareness, of who we are, and getting rid of all this, who we think we are, and like all the conditioning, of how it should be and how it shouldn't. And I always say, like, what unknown, it's not really unknown who we are. We know who we are, it's just rediscovering it.
I would call it embodying it. It's like bringing it down to earth, because like you do know who you are. That's why you can recognize it. Like that's what I do with people with human design, is like, rather than, get into all the information of it. Sorry, I just got a text. God, shiny things. And I realize I have an appointment in like 20 minutes, so we can't go on too long, but that it's really right there for you, who you are. And that can be the benefit of having, working with a projector that resonates for you, because and I mean, we're all so different, and that's why it's like it's the connection that really matters. It's your own sense of it. But I just love doing this work, and it really is so easy for people to just see who they are, no matter what their design is, no matter what. I mean, even reflectors and people with open identity centers,
Yeah. I had something important come to me when you were saying that, and now it just flew by me.
Well, maybe it'll boomerang back around with my defined head nausea for you. That's how my mind works. I'll be on a roll, and then I'm like, it's gone. And then like, it'll come back, and it always does.
I find though too, like the more I'm myself, the more difficult it is to go back to not being myself.
Yeah, there's kind of no turning back.
It's very difficult, and I'm finding it really hard to not feel good, actually. Like the moments of not feeling good and, drama and this and that are very brief. As soon as I get centered into, who I am again,
Yeah, I could sense that actually when I asked you about, is it always easy? Because it's kind of a trick question. Or is it always beautiful? Is it always beautiful? It's kind of a trick question, because the more you get into being you, it's like, well, everything's beautiful.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
The things that you thought were like total torture in your past, it's like it just unfolds as this. I mean, I feel like maybe it's the difference in frequency between like saying something's pretty and beautiful, like beautiful as that.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't
depth
mean
and full spectrum.
Well, it's like, and it's just like with different events and stuff. I find, I mean, maybe it's the channel of initiation, but I find every time I go through like the shock and like crazy experiences and or painful, it realigns me, and it gets me closer to who I am and feeling very empowered. So it does, I do end up feeling, oh, that was beautiful. It sucked, but it was freaking awesome, like great, like woohoo,
Woohoo is what came to mind for me
whoa, like that's crazy, it's just like
I have that on my website under embodiment, like on the front page. It's like, wee! No hands, like roller coaster. Just trusting that you're buckled in enough, and it's all amazing. Huh. Well, okay, so I don't want you to run out of batteries before we, did you think of your thing, or?
I just have something I'm saying, which I'm not even sure what it is. I never know. But what came to me is, it's hard to like stick with like being who we are because we're around people so much, And I think, well, for me, I spent most of my time in nature, and that was my way of connecting people to themselves is through nature.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's no conditioning there, like nature's itself, you're not around, and that's how like the stories came in, kind of like that's kind of bridging. It's my own weird twisted way of bridging nature with storytelling into that. And I don't even
Twisted
know
is like the last word I would use, but
it's also, by the way, it's my English too.
I'm teasing you, but you're my experience with you is you're just so lovely, even, and I mean, you're fierce, don't get me wrong, you definitely have a fierceness too, but twisted, no.
Someone said I'm a gentle warrior, right? I definitely see both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, am I an innocent warrior?
A true warrior is gentle. So all right, well, if that other thing pops up or something else, you can just interrupt me. But I want to say that Yaya has a book that she just yeah.
Yeah, today I
show us. She has two books. This is her second one, and they're fairy tales. Yeah,
actually I have 4, but
you have 4. Dang.
Yeah, but in this category, so okay, so this is the one that came out and that I just launched now. It's Trio Fairy Tales, Gentle Nature. Can you see it?
Uh-huh. Yep.
You want to see the back, but
oh yeah, that picture came out really well. I like it.
Actually, this cover is like different pictures I put together of mine. But anyway, so this is just the second continuation of my first one, which is Trio Fairy Tales, Dancing Within. This was my first, and it will always be my baby. Yeah, this is a bigger one too.
Love it.
So, do you want to see the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is different. So those are fairy tales, and it's for all ages, like children, adults. I kind of see it more as adults, but this one is visualizations, like hypnosis scripts, meditate. You can use them like as hypnosis scripts, meditation scripts.
Cool.
That's another way I do it too. I write personal visualizations for people as well. So their own like relaxation, and I use different like nature settings and stuff. So that's what that is. But people can use it on their own to work on themselves. And then this one's just for children, and it's just stories about trees. Because the first 2 books are from different stories I wrote for people, right? So, and then the one with the trees is I do the same thing with trees. Is when I see a tree that I feel I would like to write a story about I write a story for the trees. So I started a series now for children's stories of tree stories from trees that I really met in real life.
I love that. Trees that I met in real life. I feel like that about trees. Sometimes I'm in nature and I'm like, they're here watching. They just have this presence. Or I've done, like coaching calls outside before and really felt like the witness of nature. Cool. So how do people can purchase your books through your website?
I have the links on my website. They're on Amazon. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Amazon.com, all the Amazons in Europe. Not sure about Canada, but yeah, it's pretty easy.
Uh-huh.
But
So,
I have the links
what would
on my
they
website.
search? Tria fairy tale stories?
My name, I would say, it probably come up with a tree of fairy tales, but
Mm-hmm.
my name, because then they'll all come up.
Okay.
If you want
And
me
I'll
to
have your
spell
name
them.
in the title of this video.
Okay.
So, because
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, there's examples of stories and fairy tales on my website, homeinatree.com, and the links are there as well. So.
cool. Yeah, I have those too, so I'll put them in the comments. Would you say your last name slowly for me?
In Greek or okay. In Greek or in English?
Oh,
I
maybe
can't
both.
even say it in English anymore. Giakalli.
Yakaya. Is that it?
No. Ya.
Yeah.
Kali.
Kai.
Kali.
Gai.
Kali.
It sounds the same to me. I'm like, I am saying that.
Ya. Kali.
Yakai.
Kali. Yeah.
Okay, how do you say it in English?
Giakalli.
Oh gosh, that's so, that doesn't sound right.
No.
Yeah, callous. You grew up in the East, what, in Canada or in the States? You
No,
said
in
that.
Greece, on island of Kos,
Oh yeah, because
where I grew
you
up.
sound
Yeah.
kind of New York sometimes.
Because my mother is from America, so she spoke in English to us. So I was
Is
raised
she
with both
from is she
languages.
from the East Coast or is she
She's from New York, yeah.
okay? You sound like such a New Yorker sometimes. Cool. Oh, all right. Well, I think it's probably good to stop while we're ahead here since projectors don't know when to quit. I'm going to just try to call it here. Is there anything else you want to share?
I just had something come to me, but now I forgot again, so obviously it's not important. There's something when you were saying about my name. I don't remember. I don't remember. It's not important.
I just call you Yaya, like Madonna or Beyonce or something. It's just like Yaya. And it's not Gaia, by the way. I had to be retrained on that one. That's how
Yeah,
we
I mean, that's where my name is from. It's from Greek mythology, right? But
yeah.
in English they say Gaia, but it's actually Gaia. But you don't have the Rama, the R. So you put the G and then it's Gaia. Yeah,
Yeah. But it means the same thing. It's like Earth
yeah, it's from Earth.
system
Yeah,
consciousness, whatever.
well, it's Earth. Like, yeah, it was the goddess of Earth.
Hmm.
In Greek mythology, that's how, like, the beginning of Greek mythology, basically. Yeah. How
Just the
life
beginning,
began.
the initiation of it.
I love my name. That's because it's nature.
I love it too, and I love you. And thank you so much for talking with me, and thank you for the
Oh, thank
story.
you for inviting
Such a
me.
wonderful gift. Um, so for those of you watching, yeah, you can contact Yaya if you are curious about getting your own story, or she'll create an audio meditation for you. That's amazing too. And then she's also, yeah, one of the dream team in the New Year Ascension for 2018 that I am holding space for. It's Becoming the Gift You Are. And yeah, you could, among the other things, there is an initiation story by Yaya that's personally for you. So if you're feeling a resonance with this and you're curious, get in touch with me and let's talk. And enrollment's open right now. We start January 18th, but when you enroll, you can begin your one-on-one coaching. And I also do human design initiations where it's not anything really like a, well, maybe it's somewhat like it, but an analysis or a reading. But when we get together, you'll feel your design. You'll really get to like lay your eyes on it and sense it and know it for yourself. So yeah, if you're wanting to experience your design, I know I see it all over online, and I know I've done a lot of it myself, just like swimming in all the information. Trying to figure out your design and figure out how you do your strategy and authority and all of that. But you know, you could just, I can hold space for you to just actually like, oh, there I am. That can be super helpful. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you, Yaya, again. And see you around.
Bye.
I'm going to stop the recording.